Greetings, scholars, and welcome back to this week's episode of Avanexplains. As I mentioned previously, or at least yesterday on Facebook, and some of you may have seen that, this week's episode is going to be slightly different. Instead of explaining a resource or indeed an event, I'm going to be answering a couple of questions that have been popping up on the YouTube channel as well as on Facebook. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. On this week's episode of Avanexplains, Avananswers Questions. Alright then, so let's start with our very first question by Mamata Das. Sorry if I butchered these names, by the way. How to perform really well in globals, and if I just got 4 medals, how can I get more in globals? So globals is a very big step from regionals. You could have done amazingly in regionals, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'll do great in globals. And that is one of the sort of traps that I like that first-time scholars fall into. They do like amazingly in their regional round, so they think, oh, I don't need to prepare anymore, and then they absolutely flunk globals, and they're wondering why did that happen. Well, first of all, you need to understand globals is like thousands, literally thousands of people. There were a lot of people who've been doing World Scholars Cup for much longer than you have, and there are obviously people who have been preparing for much longer than you have. So you need to sort of match that, right? You need to prepare as well. You need to continue studying the resources, continue specializing in the resources, continue practicing debate, and continue practicing writing. So there's a lot of time generally between your regional round and whatever global you're going to. The Beijing globals are just over a month and a couple of weeks away, so you can definitely prepare more for that, and then you'll be hopefully able to get more than 4 medals in globals. But 4 medals is actually pretty good, especially considering if you are a first timer. I hope that you do well, and maybe I'll catch you in your global round. Next question from Joel Pineda. May you suggest a means of how scheduling can be done for training? How do you usually train for the event? In a week? How many hours? What do your group do? Do you have a week schedule? How does it look like? Thanks in advance. That's a lot of questions. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions in one post. All right, let's answer them quickly. How do you train for the event? I train for the World Scholars Cup much the same way many people train for the World Scholars Cup. I read the resources, I do the resources, especially on my website. I make these videos, I practice debating, and sometimes I practice writing. That's pretty much the standard way in which you can prepare for the World Scholars Cup. In a week, that's my general training, right? So every week I make practice challenges, which helps me study the curriculum. And every week I usually do a practice debate or I practice writing. And then sometimes I'll obviously going to make these videos, which again help me with the curriculum. It's really these additional activities that help me learn more about what's going to happen in the globals and in the events of the World Scholars Cup. How many hours? So because I obviously run a website and this YouTube channel, I usually work for about 2 hours a day, sometimes only 1, especially if I have a lot of schoolwork. So that generally levels out to about 7 to maybe 9 hours, give or take 2 or 3, depending on weekend time. And that's about a study time of 12 hours per week. Now, you are not meant to be doing this much, all right? You should not be doing nowhere near as much as I am, because you obviously aren't going to be running your own website or indeed maybe your own YouTube channel. Maybe you can, but it certainly means that you shouldn't be studying for that long. 2 hours in 2 days is fine, right? 7 hours a week is completely fine. An hour a week is generally what I used to do before I had my website, and that's a pretty good thing to do. What do your group do? So every week on Thursday, my school has the World Scholars Cup Club, like many schools do, right? It's where all the World Scholars Cup people get together and they discuss the resources, they practice debating, and they practice writing. So right now, we are generally sorting out our globals, but once that's done, we're going to continue practicing. I find that this is a great time to study with your team because it's pretty much the only time in school when I'm with my entire team, because obviously we're in different classes, so it's a bit hard for us to just meet up casually inside school and practice the World Scholars Cup. Do you have a week schedule? As I mentioned before, I do have a week schedule. It basically consists of me making a practice challenge, me making a YouTube video, and then me either practice debating or doing a writing example. And that's pretty much it for my own preparation. Now, obviously, your preparation will look slightly different, but it should have the same general idea, right? You're studying the curriculum, you're practicing debating, you're practicing writing, and you're doing it as a team from time to time, not all the time or none of the time. Next question by Mihajlo Chonev. I think that's how you spell it. The collab writing is changed up a bit so that we can write creative pieces now. My question is, should we change to writing creative, and how can we do that? An example would be marvelous. So that is correct. The World Scholars Cup has changed up its creative writing a bit. Before you had motions that were either yes or no, I agree or disagree. Now you have motions that are slightly more open, right? So before you would have gotten something like, you would have gotten something like, slavery should be banned from every single country, or something like that, right? Now you're going to get something like, write to the government, propose an idea to combat illegal slavery to the government of a country, right? That allows you to be a bit more creative with your rooms and then, with your writing and with your points. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean you have to switch to creative. These prompts, you can still write a traditional essay with them. That's completely fine. And sometimes you'll do better if you write a traditional essay than a creative piece. Because if you write a creative piece, you're risking a lot. Because in a creative piece, it's generally harder to detect the points and the evidence than in a traditional essay. This is my main question to you. Are you a good creative writer outside of World Scholars Cup? If you write creative stories or articles or any other piece of writing and you're natural at it, by all means you can try to do a creative writing. If not, I tend to stick to traditional writing and then add a little bit of a creative twist, right? Like a more imaginative introduction or a bit of a sort of non-standard conclusion, something like that, to sort of spice it up and set it out differently from the rest of the traditional pieces. And that's generally a good idea. An example, I'll post an example on my website with this weekly update, so be on the lookout for that. So, moving on to the next question from Adam Mohammed on the YouTube channel. Hey Avan, I'm going to Beijing. Can I please meet with you? That is a great question. Many scholars are probably going to ask that. At least in their minds they are. Can they meet me? So honestly, in Beijing, I cannot wait to meet so many of you, and thank you guys for using my website and for supporting me across this journey that we've been doing together. But meeting me in Beijing, you have to ask yourself two important factors. Factor number one, are you a junior or are you a senior? If you are a junior, there is a high chance that we cannot meet during the event itself, because your events take place a day before the seniors do, and I am a senior scholar. If you're a senior, there is a high chance you will see me in any of the events where we are sitting in the same venue. That means the opening ceremony, the scholar show, the debate showcase, and of course the award ceremony or closing ceremony. During these times, I will probably be somewhere within the audience, so if you do find me, don't worry, come up to me and say hi, or I'll come down to you guys and I'll say thank you, and yeah. If you're a junior, not to worry though, there is an event where you can meet me. There's only one event where you can meet me. The Scholars Cultural Fair, because I will be at the Cultural Fair, I will be walking around, and I'll maybe have my own booth. More news on that later. But I will be at the Cultural Fair. I generally stick around for about 1.5 to 2 hours, so if you guys want to meet me there, then that's completely fine. Another thing to ask yourself is, what hotel am I staying in? There are many hotels for Beijing, right? Some of them are World Scholars Cup affiliated, many of them are not. I actually don't know what hotel my school is going to be staying in, but the moment that I get information on which one my team is staying in, I'll be sure to update you guys either on my website or with the next YouTube video, and then you guys can then know if you're going to be in the same hotel as me or not. Because if you are, you might see me at breakfast times, or we might just run into each other in the elevators or hallways. And honestly, that'd be amazing. But yeah, I hope to see many of you in Beijing, and I hope that we'll be able to see each other when the event comes around. Next question from Ryan Mbeki, with a great profile photo, I must mention. Can you show a debate showcase of you debating with your team? No, I cannot, because technically speaking, a debate showcase doesn't happen with my team, right? not all 3 members of my team are in a debate showcase. A debate showcase is generally the most voted debaters based on the adjudicators' opinions. I have videos of my debate showcase from TOC, but that's very grainy and it's not the best recording quality. If you want to see a debate showcase, you can literally just search up World Scholars Cup Debate Showcase on YouTube, and you can find plenty of official World Scholars Cup videos that they took with professional photographers and cameras that have the debate showcase in its entirety. Now, I'll link down below my debate showcase at the KL Globals last year. That was quite an experience, but by no means is that an example of an amazing debate showcase. It is a good debate showcase, but there are certainly many more examples that you could watch out there if you want to do that type of research. Next up, from Fake Kevin De Bruyne. I have no idea who that is. I would love it if you made a vid on how to study and also how to find factual information and do research before debates and writing, please. Oh, this question popped up before from Reckless. Thanks for making this. Can you do a video on how to find factual information and use the 15 minutes accordingly? Also, when should each speaker start writing down his points? During the 15 minutes preparation time or during the actual speeches? Thanks again, Avon. You're the best. Okay, thank you first for complimenting me. You are also an amazing person for watching these videos and supporting the site. So let's go do this. How do you find factual information? Well, factual information during a debate is very strong, as I mentioned in my debating video. A great place to start is actually the World Scholars Cup resources. You can generally find something to link back to the debate motion from the resources because the debate motions are based off of stuff from the resources, right? So that's a good starting point, right? Look at the resources, check out your notes on those resources, see if there's anything that you can use to support your point. Other than that, I think you really want to narrow down what you're looking for, right? So for example, if you're looking for a statistic about how much the government will have to pay to pay back ancestors of descendants of slaves, you could just literally research slave reparation statistics and you can find a reliable source that has that information. Now, when you do find factual information, write it down, okay? Even if it doesn't apply to your point, if it helps your side of the debate, it might be used by your other teammates, and show them those evidence to your other teammates because maybe they can use it in their points. When should each speaker start writing down their points? You should use the 15 minutes. That is when you are going to be writing down your points and then refining them with your team. Do not write your points during the actual speeches because number one, that is not a good show of listening. Someone is speaking and you are writing down notes. That's very disrespectful and you're going to get marked down in terms of teamwork on that. Number two, you can't actually multitask, okay? The human brain is not wired to multitask. You cannot write down notes at the same time as pay attention to whoever's speaking. So you're not going to get the information from the person who's speaking and your own notes. Now, don't do as I do as I say, because I don't even write down my points. I make my points during the speeches, or at least during the 1 minute break between speeches. I just hold it within my head. Don't do that because number one, you're probably gonna forget your points, and number two, it's very, very risky. It's a skill that I like to have. It's something that's sort of unique to me and maybe a few other people, but definitely use the 15 minutes to write down your points and find factual information. Next question from, let's see, from here. Animagus Rules. Can you do a video on the Scholars Ball? I'm so nervous, lol. Maybe. I might do a video on the Scholars Ball in 2 weeks' time, but generally you shouldn't be nervous for the Scholars Ball. The Scholars Ball is the event that's meant to make you the least nervous. It's not meant to make you nervous at all. You're meant to just hang out with your friends, hang out with other scholars, and generally have a great time and celebrate the past couple of days and sort of look forward to the ending of this amazing experience that you guys are gonna have. Final one from Rakshis Bhatia. Please help me with Neglected Histories 2019. There'll be a resource video on that next week. Keep an eye out for it. I'll probably choose something from the education side of it or this poverty side of it. I did one already on slavery, which was part of history, so I'll link that video down below in case you guys want to check that out. But I think that'll be all the questions for now. So thanks again, guys, for watching this video. And remember, if you have any other questions you want to ask, you can shoot me an email or comment down below, or even just comment on the website, and that I'll answer them. And hopefully within another couple of weeks, we'll have another Q&A session with Avanexplains. But until then, this is Avanexplains signing out.